Hey, elite entrepreneurs and empire builders, welcome to Fran Opps Live. I'm your host, Jared Nassiff, and this is the show where we connect you with vetted and qualified franchise brands and the faces behind those brands so you can franchise your future with confidence and clarity. Welcome those of you joining us on Facebook or any other platform that we're on, or even if you're watching this later down the road too on YouTube or something, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Today's conversation, man, I'm excited about this one. We're bringing on the founder and a lifelong entrepreneur, Travis Kososki, founder of Alsies Gourmet Ice Cream Truck. And today we're talking about what makes a franchise franchisable, right? So it's a word, it's in the dictionary. I'm sure of it. Go look it up. But we're going to talk about what makes a franchise actually a franchise, right? So we're going to unpack the lessons that really Travis and his team have learned on how to build a brand from the ground up. We're going to talk a lot today on this episode about evaluating and buying franchises. We're gonna look at franchising from all those perspectives. And so today, whether you're someone who you are a founder or part of a franchise and you're developing a brand or system, or you're someone who's evaluating franchise opportunities to potentially buy one, this is going to be a critical conversation for you, highly valuable, as Travis, with his experience, is going to be able to dive into, his journey from the very beginning of like building the original concept and figuring out what works along the way, kind of ironing out those speed bumps, creating a brand, developing systems, and then ultimately deciding when and how best to franchise what they've built. And so we're going to dive into all those lessons today. And so we're going to answer questions like, what actually makes something able to franchise? What separates a good local business from an actual scalable one? How do you take everything inside of a founder or an owner's head and then turn it into systems that somebody else can follow? That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to dive into all of it. I cannot wait. I'm excited to dig into this. So, without further ado, let's do this. Let's franchise your future. This is Fran Opps Live. Travis, welcome, my friend, to the greatest group in the metaverse, as we like to say. Welcome to Fran Opps. Excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, after that brief bumper we just watched, those of you who are listening instead of watching, it's all a little bit of highlight of the brand, and now I suddenly want some ice cream. And so I'm totally new for that, even though it's not quite lunchtime. But anyway, welcome, my friend. I'm excited to really learn from you today, because I know this is not a new thing for you. Franchising and building business is not new. You've been around entrepreneurship a long time, right?
For longer than I probably look. I started my first business when I was about 12 years old and have never looked back. So
Wow.
it's been a journey and a lot of learning lessons over the last 30 plus years.
Yeah, well, give us the high level view. Tell us your story. How you started at
Sure.
12 and what happened, or where'd you go from there?
Yeah, no, I'll rewind back. So I went to Duke University for undergrad, and I actually started my career on Wall Street. I started working,
Hmm,
doing equity research at Goldman Sachs,
okay.
at a large investment bank, and was covering small cap media and telecom stocks.
Mm,
So in that sense, I got a lot of experience analyzing businesses, understanding unit economics, understanding industry trends.
I'm sure.
So that was really building the foundation for my entrepreneurial journey, which I started after that in 2008.
Okay.
So from 2008 till current day, I've been an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and I've had the benefit of overseeing and building companies across multiple different industries,
Yeah.
everything from power generation, equipment leasing, warehousing, distribution, family entertainment, and
Yeah.
now we're in Allsies, which is kind of a combination of a few different business segments.
Yeah.
And as you said, I have franchising experience. I was a co-owner of a family entertainment brand
Okay.
from about 2017 till current day, actually, but no longer part of that brand, and left there to start Alsies.
Yeah. So you were we'll back up a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to hear the 2008. Was it a choice then to become an entrepreneur, or was it because a result of, that one of the greatest economic recessions of this century forced you into it?
I get that's a great question. I guess a little bit of both.
Okay.
So I did my 2-year stint at Goldman doing equity research and was planning to transfer to the investment banking side. There's two different sides in an investment
Mhm.
bank. There's kind of, they call it there's a wall between them, but there's the equity research side, or the
Okay.
public side, and then there's a private side on the investment bank. So I was going to move over to natural resources, do investment banking. And as a result of the financial crisis, they kind of canceled all third-year transfers to that division.
Hmm.
So I had to, was looking about doing another year in equity research, but decided to pivot. And I actually moved overseas to Central Asia to start my entrepreneurial journey.
You
So there's a
really
lot of
pivoted. My
I
goodness.
really pivoted there, but haven't looked back. It's been an incredible
Yeah.
journey, and
Yeah.
excited about what we're building today.
Yeah, wow. And so then in 2017, were you on the franchisee side, or were you on the franchisor side still then?
I was on the franchisor side.
Okay.
So backing up to that time period, I had looked at the family entertainment industry as a whole, and it actually ties into the conversation that we're having today,
Yeah.
and was looking about potentially doing a franchise.
Okay.
I then actually built out my own two family entertainment parks
Mhm.
under an independent brand.
Okay.
And then after having operated in that industry, I wanted to continue on. So I had met a great friend, entrepreneur, and the founder
Yeah.
of Launch, and partnered with him to start franchising the Launch concept. So I was on the franchisor side, and worked there for about 5 years full
Wow.
time with
Yeah.
hand in hand with the founder, and was able
Yeah.
to learn a lot about the franchise system. And we helped to
Yeah.
grow, launched over 30 parks,
Oh,
and
wow.
COVID
Yeah.
hit. And then COVID
Dang.
hit. So
Okay.
that's a completely
Another
different story. But
another
yeah,
recession. Yeah, that's great. My goodness. So, entrepreneurship for about 2 decades, franchise development for and franchising for about a decade. And now you have built and you're growing Allsies. Tell us about what Allsies is and how it came to be.
sure. Alsies, in a nutshell, is a technology-enabled ice cream truck. What we're doing is we're reimagining the century-old ice cream truck industry
Mhm.
and bringing it to the modern era. So what does that mean? We first and foremost built a technology platform
Okay.
that allows customers to track the truck in real time. They can get notifications whenever we're nearby. They get advanced notifications or text messages in advance of us coming to their neighborhood, and they can also call the truck directly to them. So like a ice cream on demand,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
technology
wow.
that we developed. But what we were really trying to do is we identified, first and foremost, we identified an industry that hadn't changed in over 100 years. So
Yeah.
the ice cream truck first started in the 1920s, and as
Yeah.
of a couple years ago, there was not a single thing that had really changed in that entire industry.
Hmm.
So we saw that as an opportunity, and we wanted to reimagine that experience and kind of solve for that problem. And once again, I kind of highlighted it there, but the problem with the ice cream truck is you never know when it's going to be around. You have to sit there,
Yeah.
listen to the music. You don't get an advance notification, and if you hear that music, then you have to try to find the truck, which is
Yeah.
obviously really exciting. But we were trying to kind of recreate and improve that user experience and bring it
Yeah.
to communities around the country.
Yeah.
Um,
When a user gets the notification that there's an Allsies truck nearby, does it play an ice cream truck song on their phone or
ooh,
something? That would be
that's
fun.
a great call. Not
Yeah,
yet.
there you go.
That's a
There
good
you
one
go. You
though.
can that one's for free, Travis. I'll
There
hand
we
that one
go.
to you.
Thank you.
But how did
No,
the name Allsies come to be?
uh, yeah. So Alsies is the combination of actually my three kids' names. So
Okay.
Alexandra for
Yeah.
A, Landon for L, and then Sienna, and her nickname was always C. So Alsies is the
Oh,
combination of
wow.
their name. And it's interesting. Alsies was originally started.
Dang.
It's an interesting backstory. We started this during COVID in our garage, and it was really my wife's idea to begin Alsies, and it was started as a platform for spreading happiness to the community.
Yeah.
It actually was not
Yeah,
started as a
wow.
business or as a franchise. It was started as more of a community project to spread happiness and to bring joy to the,
Yeah.
to the community during this difficult time.
Yeah, I can't think of anything more joyful than ice cream, right? And so I love that. So you waited till the economic collapse of the real estate market in 2008 to get into entrepreneurship. Then you waited till the pandemic hit to start a franchise. You are man, you look at those things that most people are afraid of and terrified of, and you go, here's the opportunity. Let's dive in. So when you built Alsies, you said you weren't really meaning to franchise it.
Um, to be honest, not at all. We weren't even meaning to have a business at the very beginning. This is really, once again, meant to be a community project spreading happiness, and the
Yeah.
business was created. We just wanted to spread happiness, and as they say, that's spreading happiness turns out to be a really good business.
Yeah.
So demand was created. We started with our first truck. We
Okay.
got an outpouring of community support. We started
Yeah.
booking a ton of events, and we
Okay.
then got a second truck. And then
Yeah.
after the second truck and we started operating it, we got a third truck. So really a business was
Wow.
created on its own
Wow.
organically. And we didn't even think about franchising till a few years later. In fact, we built all of these without the idea of franchising.
Yeah.
Um, and I can kind of dive into that because it's
Yeah.
relevant to our conversation of
Right.
what
Yeah.
is a
So
franchisable
let's do
concept and
that.
what's not.
Yeah, let's do that. So what do we mean when we say what makes a franchise franchisable? What do we mean by franchisable?
Great question. So let's start with that. So I guess let's reframe this a little bit and let's
Yeah.
talk about what makes a business not franchisable. Because a lot of people
Yeah.
think, oh, just because a business is
Sure.
successful, I can
Mhm.
franchise this, and that's absolutely not the case.
Okay.
That's probably not even the top three reasons why business is franchisable.
Okay.
So once again, first, why is a business not franchisable?
Mhm.
Profitability. It doesn't really matter, I guess, or it matters more as to how the business is profitable versus it's just being profitable. Because if it's reliant on
Mm.
a founder alone,
Mhm.
or if it's reliant on that individual's relationships, it's not really franchisable, even though it's profitable.
Hmm.
Another one that we identified as not franchise the complexity. So franchise businesses, generally speaking, have difficulty if they're highly complex or if they're relying on highly curated or trained talent to be able to achieve or provide that service.
Okay.
So being a more of a simple idea is generally more franchisable. And then lastly, just being novel or being a new idea. So like, we're obviously coming with a novel concept of 100-year-old proven business model.
Hmm.
But because something's new or novel doesn't mean it's franchisable. In fact,
Yeah.
that probably creates more risk to the
Mhm.
business because a franchisor doesn't have the experience in operating this business for a long enough time to then be able to create the system to then be able to franchise the business.
Yeah.
So with that, kind of those are the reasons
Okay.
why a business is not franchisable.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
you've definitely hit on the ones that maybe make it feel like this is something worth scaling. If we're very profitable, and so surely if it's profitable here, it's got to be profitable in other markets as well. How do we do that? And it's this is new and exciting, and there's momentum behind it. I'm sure that will take off, as we go from here. So you've definitely hit on
yeah,
those elements. So then, what needs to be true before a
yeah,
founder can really franchise their business?
yeah. No, I think that there's a few things that need to be true for you to be able to franchise the business, and then let's unpackage what makes a successful franchise, or why should somebody buy the franchise? Because I think they're very two different elements. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
just holistically looking at business as a whole,
Okay.
what does a franchise need to be? It needs to
Mhm.
be profitable. It has to be profitable because this is a
Yep.
business.
Mhm.
Has to be replicable. Has
Yeah.
to be teachable, and it
Okay.
does have to have some form of differentiation, at least in my
Okay.
opinion. So,
Mhm.
um, first and foremost, profitability is
Yeah.
important. It's an important factor. Why? Because
Mhm.
there needs to be enough unit economics and enough return on investment for the franchise owner, not only for his business but also for the royalty that will then help on the support side for the franchisor. So you have to have healthy margins to be able
Okay.
to franchise. Um, it has to be replicable. This is, I think, the biggest one. You
Hmm.
need to be able to replicate that customer experience, um, that service that you're providing, the marketing and the economics of that. And importantly, it has to be teachable. So, uh,
Hmm.
a franchise business, what a lot of people may or may not realize is the goal of the franchisor is to teach somebody the systems who's likely coming into this as a first-time entrepreneur,
Yeah.
training them so that they can be successful and supporting them so that they can be successful in their
Mm.
market. So that ability to teach and to train other people to be successful and coach them to be successful is a very important factor.
Yeah.
Um, I think there has to be a
Yeah.
large enough addressable market, so like a large number of franchises, but then also the target market should be relatively wide. Hence the reason why we chose ice
Mm.
cream. Everybody
Yeah.
loves ice cream, so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then I
That's so
touched
true.
on just the differentiation, and
Okay. Yeah.
we're in such a competitive country where if you
Mhm.
come up with a really cool novel idea, um,
Yeah.
other people will try to replicate it. So what are
Yeah.
you doing to differentiate yourself and then to create the moat to be able to continue to provide that value?
Yeah, click in on that one a little bit. What do you mean? Can you be more specific with what you mean by differentiation? Because when I look at some of the main streets around where we're at, and we're in a medium market, we're not in a mega area, but most people are familiar with Starbucks, Dunkin', Seven Brew. You got, I mean, the list goes on, right? Of all these different
Yeah,
coffee brands, but they all seem to be doing pretty well. So they're not different. They're all coffee concepts. But even clicking in on what you do, ice cream. There is a
yeah,
number of different ice cream
yeah,
shops and dessert food trucks. And so in one sense, are they really different? Right? So when you say differentiate, but you've also found a lot of success already since COVID
yeah.
in building your business. So clicking on that for me, what do you mean by differentiate yourself?
Yeah, I think that really what it comes down to, when I say differentiate, it really comes down to value. What value you're providing, what value is the franchisor providing to the customer, what
Yeah.
value is the franchisor providing to the business
Mm,
owner. And
yeah.
value can be across a lot of different parameters. So it could be your brand, like you mentioned Starbucks, amazing brand.
Mhm.
They've built the size and scale so that they have that brand recognition.
Yeah.
Other businesses built their platform on systems or technology. So technology is a huge differentiator and something that can unlock or enable something. Um, what other value items are there for a franchisor? Purchasing power. Once you get a size and scale, maybe you're providing value through cheaper offerings. You can get
Yeah. Okay.
economies of
Yep.
scale. Other brands flourish on their marketing. So
Mm.
there's a lot of different types of value that can be
That's
driven
fair.
that differentiate that specific brand
Yeah.
to the customers and to the entrepreneur.
Yeah, so not so much necessarily the product itself, but the value that that brand and the franchisor is providing to, both the franchisee, but as well as the customer. Because I like that that was a big replicable piece for you is wasn't just replicate the system, but how do you replicate, and you said the customer experience. That is so
Yeah.
key because when you think replicable, instantly you go to systems, right? Which I
Hmm.
think is going to be a part of that. Like yes, that has to be, but why is that the part that has to be replicated? Well, because the end result is really the goal, which is the customer experience. And so
Yeah.
how are you doing that with Alsies? How do you want like evaluate the customer experience to know what it is? And then because then from you can't replicate something you don't really know what it is. So how do you evaluate it and then go, okay, now we're going to multiply this?
Yeah. Um, it Great question. And I think that's one thing that at least us, like that's been our primary focus is on that customer experience. And I'll talk to you kind of about the customer experience and what I think that drives, but then
Okay.
also about kind of that moment when we realized that we really had something with Allsies.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so customer experience, I think everything comes down to the customer experience
Hmm.
because that customer experience drives loyalty. Um, that loyalty will then result in additional sales to that business. So,
Yeah.
but it all comes down to that customer experience. And so some brands out there, I mean, they flourish. Look at Chick-fil-A. Like
Yeah.
they have great products, no question,
Hmm.
but they have a phenomenal customer experience.
Yeah.
Um, the entire process of kind of going through Chick-fil-A, I think that that's one of
Hmm.
their huge differentiators.
Yeah.
Um, as it relates to Allsies, just kind of looking back at this journey of entrepreneurship that we've been on over the last 6.5 years, I kind of mentioned before, but we didn't build Alsies to be a franchise.
Hmm.
And what it came down to was that I truly didn't feel like Alsies added enough value to be a franchise.
Hmm.
I've always said this before, I'm not in sales. I can't sell something that I don't believe in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, I really can't. And so, and we can kind of unpackage that about, the sale of a franchise versus partnership.
Sure.
So with Alsies,
Yeah.
we're looking to
Yeah.
partner with people. We're not looking to sell something. But where it comes
Yeah.
down to, um, when when I realized that we really had something magical, and I'll kind of rewind back to about 3 years ago when we first created a technology platform.
Okay.
Um, my partner
Yeah, because
Walker,
you
he
guys
had
built the brand and we're doing ice cream and multiple. You got the multiple trucks, but hadn't built the tech stack
had,
yet.
had not yet. Correct. We wanted to kind of see if this was worth, if the business had legs enough to be able to invest in the technology platform, because
Yeah.
we're looking at multi-million-dollar investment to build out the technology.
Okay.
We thought it was less, but it turns out it's a lot more. So that was a surprise to us. It took a lot
Seems to
longer.
be the case with
Uh,
those kinds of things. Yeah.
that's exactly right. But it's a great story because it was the first time we had just kind of unpackaged the minimum viable product or MVP of the technology platform.
Okay.
So Walker had on a Saturday planned a route next to my neighborhood, and I didn't even know. I had no idea.
Hmm.
And so I was sitting there on a Saturday, and I got a notification on my phone saying that Aldi's was nearby, and I was like, "Wait a second, is this a glitch or something?" So I click on the button, and the app opens up, and I can see the truck is in the neighborhood, kind of right next to my house. I was like,
Yeah.
"No way!" And so I actually brought my kids over, and I
That's
clicked the button,
amazing.
and I sent a request to have the driver come to our house, and the
Yeah.
driver had no idea that I lived there. And so they confirmed the request, and my kids are sitting there, watching this, and they see it turn
Yeah.
down the road, and then all of a sudden they heard the music of the truck, and they started sprinting. They like beeline it and started sprinting down our driveway. And I
Yeah.
just watched as they were running, screaming for joy and
Yeah.
running up to the ice cream truck. And I was like, right there, I was like, that is lightning in a bottle. And if we
Wow.
can replicate that experience right there,
Yeah.
this is going to be a tremendous success. Like,
Yeah.
you can't replicate just joy and happiness. And that just
Right.
happened. And I like to say, like, my kids were pretty spoiled because they had 3 ice cream trucks in their front yard. So even though
Yeah.
they were spoiled with ice cream trucks, the excitement was still there. And so
Yeah.
at that point, that was kind of the moment that I was like, wow, like that experience, if
Yeah.
you can experience that with all these once, you're creating a tremendous amount of brand loyalty,
Hmm.
which is going to
Yeah.
result then in additional sales. And so that was kind of one of the pivotal moments for us
Yeah.
in building all these. And then once again, once we saw the technology stack working, then I was like, wow, like now we have something.
Yep.
Once again, we were planning to keep it in-house, but
Hmm.
now we have something that is really differentiated, value added, and can drive sales for our franchise partners. So
Yeah.
that's kind of when the shift happened, to where,
Wow.
where they could, where we started thinking about franchising.
Yeah. Wow. That's fascinating. What about the reverse of that? What about like, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you've made while building Aussies to franchise?
Um, Great question, and
Yeah.
there have been a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think success is built on failure, right?
Yeah. Right.
The biggest one I would say. So I think that I've had the benefit of 20 years of experience
Yeah.
and being in a franchise system,
Hmm.
to be able to kind of see some of the pitfalls in advance. And I have to give all the credit to my team. What was really great is the fact that um, my partner Walker, he has franchisee experience, so he has been an existing franchisee of a different
Okay.
brand.
Yeah. That's
So we had
huge.
the other perspective, huge. And then across our team, I was able to kind of bring on a few of my former colleagues from the other franchise company to help us at Alsies. So collectively within our small group, we have over 70 years of franchising experience
Wow. Yeah.
before we even started franchising Alsies.
Yeah.
And so what we have focused on is like building the systems
Hmm.
to be able to support our franchisees. So we've been investing early, and that's something that we can talk about with, if you're interested in starting a franchise, there's some things that you should
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
And so the biggest mistakes we made were early on in investing in old school 1980s and 1990s ice cream trucks. If there's one takeaway for anybody interested in the ice cream industry, do not buy an old school ice cream truck. You will highly regret it. Not just the
That
120
that
degrees inside there, but
the vintage nostalgic, thought is pretty
yeah,
neat, but didn't work out for
loved
you
it.
guys, huh?
No, no, we love that nostalgia, and,
Yeah.
we loved it so much, we got 5 of those trucks, and we,
There's a
the
reason that they no longer exist.
there's a reason,
Yeah,
and then,
that's great.
if you wanna jump on junkyard websites to try to find steering columns and stuff like that, then maybe buy an old school ice
Yeah.
cream truck, but,
Yeah.
and if you enjoy 120-degree weather. Um, but yeah, no, there have been a lot of difficulties just in the entrepreneurial journey, I would say. Just as
Okay.
any entrepreneur who's built a brand before, success is built on failures and built on mistakes.
Mhm.
And I think the biggest takeaway that I would say is every mistake is an opportunity, every failure is an opportunity. And so, what I always say, what's the lesson in this? Okay, this mistake happened. What's the lesson in this? And what's
Yeah.
the system that we're going to build so this is not replicated? So, what we like to do for all these franchises, like that's why they're buying into Alsies, is like, hey, you have 6.5 years of experience in doing this and all
Yeah.
the systems in place so that we don't run into the same problems. And
Yeah.
that, there have been
Yeah.
many of them.
Yeah, that's so well said, that success is ultimately built when you learn to not replicate the mistakes. Figure out what those are and nip them in the bud and get rid
Yeah.
of them. Don't allow those to multiply. So, for somebody watching this, considering investing into a franchise, especially if it's an emerging brand,
Yeah.
what should they be looking for to determine whether that concept and franchisor are truly ready to support more franchisees?
Yeah. Um, Great question. I think there's kind of two questions in that. First off, it's identifying the franchise
Mhm,
opportunity, and then it's
mhm.
the partnership with the franchise. And I think they're very important points. I think, first and foremost, I think look at the value add of what the franchise is providing. And I go back to, this might
Yeah,
sound very non-consensus or contrarian, but I
yeah,
truly believe that the value that a franchisor provides is directly proportionate with how big that initial investment is. And what I
yeah,
mean with that is
mhm,
if you're spending $3-4 million on the build out of something and you're paying X amount of like the incremental benefit of the branding or of certain systems, like you can figure that out. You're already spending
mhm.
$3-4 million. But if your initial investment is on the lower side, the franchise is providing a tremendous amount of value. Like I look at our franchise partners, and one of the reasons why I'm so convicted in offering the franchise opportunity is that our average buy-in is about $155,000 all in franchise
Yeah,
territory fee plus the training onboarding plus the
mhm,
truck and the build out and working capital to be able to start
yeah,
an Alsies, right?
okay,
But you're getting the benefit of a $1 million+ technology platform.
yeah,
You're getting the benefit of a text messaging platform. You're getting the benefit of, we've
yeah,
spent probably $50,000 in marketing this year. So you're getting all of that value, like literally millions of
yeah,
dollars of value for a
right,
very small initial investment. So I think
right,
it goes back to the value, and it really goes back to, you know, I would say, is this franchise, are these people the ones that are going to be able to help me succeed in my market?
yeah,
Um, and so that kind of ties into buying a franchise.
mhm,
And that's a very interesting usage of word there because we talk about buying a franchise. And
yeah,
I think this is probably the biggest misconception of the franchising industry as a whole.
yeah,
Is that exact term right there, buying a
right.
franchise? Because
Yeah, is that
when
you're
you're
a consumer buying a product or
buying a
something, which
product
is
off the
not the
shelf, yeah,
case. Yeah,
it's absolutely not. And I
yeah,
listened to one of the podcasts that you had done before,
yeah,
and you hit the nail on the head in saying that you really have to look for cultural fit. Why?
mm, mhm,
Because you are partnering with that franchise.
mhm,
That is the most important key to all of
yeah,
this. So anybody looking at buying a franchise, look at the partnership, look at the people, because you are locking in yourself into a partnership agreement with somebody else for the next 10
yeah,
years.
yeah,
And so
mhm,
is this person, does they have the same values that align with mine,
yeah,
the same
right,
goals. And I think that is just a key point. And
yeah,
as a
absolutely,
franchisor, one of the I would say the mistakes that I almost made, at least in my opinion, was going with a franchise sales organization.
okay,
And the
tell me about
reason
that.
why is that franchise sales organizations are generally incentivized to sell as much as they can and to
Yeah,
close deals. They're
yep, yep,
compensated
yep,
based on closed
mhm,
deals. versus having somebody in-house, we can really look at the partnership aspect. So I always tell people,
Yeah.
like, our process is not a sales process. I'm not a salesperson. I'm going to actually anti-sell you. Why? Because what we're looking for is we're looking for good partners in the market. And
Mhm.
we want to grow with you. We want to help enable you grow. And we have these different avenues that we're going to support you. And so with Alsies, you're the distributor of our pops. You are obviously spreading the brand awareness of Alsies altogether, but
Mhm.
it's really about partnership. And so that's that one advice that I would say is really look at the people, because I've been in
Yeah.
great partnerships. I've been in bad
Yeah.
partnerships, and a good deal or the greatest opportunity with bad people will result in a bad deal. But
Yeah. Mhm.
so that's the one thing that I would say. If it's too good to be true, and
Yeah.
you're being,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, I think
anyways,
that's spot on. If you're someone that you're well capitalized, you have plenty of funds to be able to invest into a business, and you are looking at an opportunity like this purely from a business standpoint, and I just care about the numbers, and I get that, right? It makes those things have to line up, they have to make sense. But if that's all it is for you, and you don't really have an interest in kind of the value that an Alsies would bring to a community, you don't really see or find the joy in providing ice cream and these quality products and the whole experience to your community, well, this probably isn't the right fit for you. You know, there might be other brands that will
mm,
align better with you,
yeah.
especially if you're someone who's like, you don't believe in ice cream. I don't know who you are, but that's crazy. But yeah, it's got to align. It's got to make sense. And so that's where the due diligence and that whole process comes in. So for you, if you're
Yeah.
watching this live right now, or you're watching this later on, 6, 12 months from now, all you have to do, if you want to begin the process of trying to decide or learn more if Alsies specifically might be a good fit for you, all you need to do right now is just throw it in the comments, just the word Alsies. Okay, type that in the comments now. We will reach out, we'll respond to you and get kind of your next first steps
Yeah.
of how we're going to begin doing that, and together can kind of really begin determining if there's alignment here with you as a potential franchisee and Alsies, in determining if there is a future partnership here. And so while they're doing that, Travis, man, I just thank you so much for being a part of this. My last question really is, what's next? What's next for the Alsies franchise?
Yeah, a lot. I will say we are constantly innovating. We have
Yeah,
a great team at Alsies here, and every single person on the team has
yeah,
projects that are moving the ball forward. So
yeah,
we just over the last 12 months, we've been working on our own Alsies Pops, which
yeah.
just arrived yesterday. Literally, today is the first event that they're going to with our own proprietary Alsies Pops on the truck.
Okay.
So that's a super
Yeah,
exciting
that's
development.
fun. Yeah.
And what we're doing is, all of our franchise partners are going to be the distributors of their pops in their market. So we
Oh,
have
cool.
retail fixed placements. So you can actually buy, you can place freezers in retail establishments more
Okay.
for like that passive income opportunity,
Mhm.
or you could wholesale it to larger stadiums, supermarkets,
Oh,
whatever that
wow.
might be. But it
Yeah.
all goes through and all helps to promote the brand in the market,
Mhm.
and it helps to help with the event sales at the truck. So
Yeah.
it's kind of three businesses in one, but it's all a
Yeah.
symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what we're really excited about, because we spent a year developing these
Yeah.
pops. And,
Yeah.
if you would have asked me a year ago or 2 years ago, is there an opportunity for more ice cream? You said there's ice cream everywhere.
Yeah.
The artisanal pop is where I think there is truly opportunity. So we spent 12
Okay.
months developing our own pops, and
Yeah.
I'd love to show you. I'll send you
Yeah,
some
well, I'm not
samples.
gonna take your word for it, Travis. I'm not
I'll
gonna believe you
send you
until
some
I can try it
samples.
myself. So we're gonna
Yeah,
have to
we have
figure that out. But
a
I love
rainbow
that. So
crunch,
you've
which is,
created other sources of revenue than just the food truck itself,
yeah.
which is so rare in that business.
That's exactly right. We're looking at expanding. So, as I said, I came from the finance background. So everything that I do is looking at return on investment, hence
Yeah,
the lower investment costs, high return on investment. So all the avenues that we're pursuing are to drive more and stronger unit economics for our franchise partners.
yeah,
So the pops, we can
awesome,
help with the pricing on the pops, but also all of it promotes the brand, which then results in more sales across their platform.
awesome.
But there's multiple
Wow.
avenues for franchisees to succeed here.
Yeah, I love that. Man, Travis, seriously, I want to be respectful of your time too. Thanks for being a part of this, and what a
Yeah,
great conversation. Tons of value that you brought
there we
and
go.
packed into this conversation, right? That you packed into this conversation. I know it's going to help many, both franchisors who are currently trying to build, or people thinking about franchising their business, as well as potential franchisees that are evaluating systems. And now there's a whole lot to unpack here about what to look for, what to try to identify as you're going through that discovery process. So genuinely, Travis, can't thank you enough. Excited to hopefully find the right partners for you and Aussies as well, and try some Aussies pops. So
thank you for your partnership. Really appreciate it, and
Thanks,
looking forward to working closely together.
Yeah. Until next time. Thanks, everyone. Take care.